Hi there. Do you remember from a last video how small my little plants were? Well, they've really grown. Let me show you here. I've got this beautiful lettuce here that I'm going to be planting outdoors in the high tunnels. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trays here that I'll be planting out. There's about 128 heads in each tray. So that'll give me a nice abundance of lettuce coming up in the next few weeks for the market. Got a little bit of onions here. They didn't do very well for me this year, unfortunately. Here you can see the onions. Usually these trays would be all full, but this year something didn't go quite right. And you can see how poorly they germinated. They should really be doing much better. I usually grow about 3,000 onions, and this year I'm not getting anywhere near that amount. Got some peas down here that are going to be getting out in the field pretty soon. And then I'm going to show you what I have over here on the other side. Over here I've got another tray of peas. So I do succession planting of peas. There's a little bit of Swiss chard over there. And I've got some beans here that I'll be planting in the high tunnels as well. I've got these tomatoes. Look how big they are already. They've got to go into their bigger pots. Let me take you on a quick little tour before I get going with my work today. See what's going on in the high tunnels. Over here I've got a bed of kale planted. I've got the remake cloth that I'll put on over top at night just to give it a little bit of extra warmth and let it grow a little bit better. You can see the pattern that I grow it in. It's a row of 4 rows in here all the way up. But I stagger the plantings so I can put them a little closer together. One of the things I'll be doing today is continuing to set up my other high tunnel here for the lettuce that I'm going to be planting that I showed you in those trays. So I'm going to just open up this door. Here I've started setting this up. I've got the water lines in. I've got these beds nicely tilled. You saw us doing that the other day. And I've got my 4 lines in to go with my landscape cloth over top. I've got the holes burned in, and I reuse this landscape cloth over and over. I've used it for quite a few years. And I just plant my lettuce directly into these holes. I've got the water lines underneath lining up. I'll be planting the lettuce. You'll see how I'll be doing that. One of the reasons I put my landscape cloth is it just helps me being on my own. I'm able to manage the weeding better. Also, it keeps the soil moist because it keeps the soil protected. I do find these beds a bit tedious to put together. Takes a bit of time, but once I've got it done, it's pretty low maintenance. So you should just start out here at the top. Then I can just unroll the tarp, the landscape cloth, roll it all the way down. Then I'll be ready to go with planting. I'm getting these all filled up with lettuce. So I've got a little bit of extra length at the top. I'm going to pull that down a bit. The first thing I'll be doing here is tacking down the tarp at the ends, either end. Pull it nice and tight. I tend to reuse my staples that I've used the previous year. As long as they're still in good condition, I can reuse them. I use those metal staples. Once I've got the ends secured, then I'll make sure I've got my water lines where I want them. And I'll put in staples every, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is every 6 holes or so, just to hold it in place. And I also put in the staples to hold the water lines in roughly where I want them. I will move them later when I start planting. And what I'm going to do is do this side of the tarp, and then I'll move on to the other side of the tarp. Instead of jumping back and forth, I'll do one side and then the other. I've got the 2 center beds done on this house. The tarps are down and they're going to be ready for planting now. I'm going to just worry about these 2 beds right now, and then I'll do the ones here on this side and the ones on the opposite side Let me show you what I have here for my operation for digging out getting out the transplants into the field. So I've got this tray here. It's got some holes in the bottom of it, and it's inside a mesh basket tray. And this one has got no holes in it, and it's also sitting inside a mesh tray. I've got this little tool here. It's a nice picker. It's specially designed for digging out plants. And I have a little bit of water in this one. Sometimes the plants are a little bit dry still. I need to just sort of soak them down a bit if they're not coming out very well. I found that what I do is I tend to put my plants in here, and this works a little bit better for me than trying to get the plant out right in the field. You can see that one's a little bit dry, so it's got to have a little bit more water. Set it in there. And then when I go to plant, it's pretty fast. So I just have to pick them straight out of the tray and then pop them into the holes. This is a leaf lettuce that I like growing. It's called Muir. It holds up very well. It's very tolerant to the sun and the heat. It has beautiful big heads. I've got that lettuce, some of it out into this tray. I watered the ones that were a little bit dry. And I'm going to show you, this is the little trowel that I use. It's long and narrow, and it's super for transplanting. So what I'll do is dig it into the ground, pull it here, and then I just pop in a plant, and it works really great. You'll notice the soil here is nice and moist. The soil up here is drier. It's not ideal, but because the roots are nice and moist, they'll be okay for a little while. And what I will do once they're planted is water them immediately. So they'll be fine for a short while. And the soil actually underneath the top dry parts are quite a bit moister than what it shows at the top. So I just put that trowel down, pull it open, pop in my plant, and it's easy. Not digging a lot. I'm just finishing up this bed of lettuce here that I've been planting. I've got about 288 heads of lettuce in each bed. And I was hoping to do more today, but I got a late start. So I'm just doing this one bed. And then what I'm going to do is water it. Even though the lettuce itself was watered before I planted it, the soil is not optimal. It's dry, and I want to make sure I get some water on there. It's not always the best thing to water late in the day like this, but it's better than not watering it. Lettuce is a pretty good seller at the market. I can sell 100, 130 or 40 heads in a market of just lettuce. It's one of the easier crops for me to grow, even though it's a little bit of work setting up the planting system. That's done for today. I'll just be watering these by hand for the next week or so. Even though I have drip lines in the bottom of the bed, they just don't, the plants aren't big enough, the root systems aren't big enough yet for the plants to get as much water as they need. So I just go along and water by hand. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for joining me on my small farm. I hope you learned a few things today. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, please take care.